All right. Are we live? Live? No. Okay. Oh, we are live. Oh, hi. Happy today to you, Dr. Levinton here. I help people live long and well because I believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. If you are watching live with us, hashtag live. Hi, everyone. And if you're watching replay, hashtag replay. I am delighted, as always, to have this conversation with you to help you live long and well. And I'm delighted to actually bring on a repeat guest. She's been with us before, and so this promises to be a good one. It's none other than Dr. Monique. She's a physician in the kitchen. Doc, thank you so much for coming. How are you doing?
My pleasure. Thank you. I am well. I am living the dream. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Now, do me a favor, if you don't mind, kindly introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
Let's see. My name is Dr. Monique May, and I am the physician in the kitchen. I help busy households discover, cook, and eat delicious plant based foods without impacting their hectic schedules. And my mission is to fix America's health one plate at a time. And I do that because we got it. We have to. We are our food supply, what we're eating, we know is a big source of health problems, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes. So I'm just trying to help people make better decisions with what's on their plate. I'm trying to help them fix their plates. So that's why I do it.
All right, awesome. And I'm glad she was sharing. But by the way, before she joined, she was sharing with me how, um, she has a new um, dressing, and she'll share that with us before the end of the live. So I'm really excited to share that. Now, for some of you who are watching, you're probably wondering, why are we having this conversation? Why do I need to learn how to read nutrition labels? Um, well, we'll talk a little bit about that, of course, during the live, but I want to encourage you to please invite those who should listen to this because it's going to be very useful. It's important that you know exactly what's going into your body. The food industry has ways legally to coat things in a way that would make you think it's healthy just so you could buy it. But obviously, you have a choice in picking the foods you eat, but you want to really know so you're not you're not tricked into eating what you think you're eating, and vice versa. Does that make sense? Okay, that makes sense. Put a high five in the comment. I need engagement. I want people to engage with this because this is really really important. All right, now my first question to you is this: we're looking at nutrition facts. Um, could you explain why it's important to read nutrition labels? I know I said, yeah, you want
Yes.
to know what's in your body, so like, yeah, I know it's this, yes, and I ate it, but why is it important to read it?
That is a so that important. That question is so important. I try or think of food labels as kind of like roadmaps. Okay. So
Okay.
if your destination is to eat and to not be hungry, think of the nutrition labels as your roadmap. How are you going to get there? And so the purpose of a nutrition label is just really to tell you how much of something is in the food you're about to eat. So what we call a serving, and what's in that serving as far as the major nutrients, fats, carbohydrates, proteins, also salt, cholesterol, things like that, and then the ingredients of what is in that food. So it's meant to give you an idea of how much of something you're eating,
Mm,
what is in what it is in, that you're eating, and any additives or anything like that that are in the ingredients. That's what it's meant to do.
okay, so let's start with the key components of a nutrition label. I don't know if you have one to share so we can do a show and
Um,
tell.
Yes, we did send it. Do you
Oh,
want?
you did.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, while you're
okay.
finding it, I can chat a little bit while you find it.
Yes, please.
Yes. So the nutrition label is on the back, right? It's either you're on the back or the side or the bottom of the package, depending on what it is you're eating. But I also want to call attention to what's on the front because that's the first part, the first thing that you see when you're shopping for food. And so you talked about how food manufacturers can say things to make a food maybe look more attractive. And so I like to also maybe spend a little bit of time talking about some of those words and how people may think they mean something and they really don't. And so words like vegan or organic or gluten free don't necessarily mean that they are healthy. right? For example, gluten-free just means it doesn't have the protein gluten. But if you don't have a condition called celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, you can eat gluten. And, that could be a choice that you make whether you don't want to eat gluten or if you physically can't eat gluten. But just because something is gluten-free doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy for you. Similarly, vegan. People think vegan means healthy. There is vegan junk food.
Mm.
So all it means is it's junk food that was made without animal products. So there we go. So there are ways that it's just important to educate yourself. Organic doesn't mean healthy. Organic just means the way something was grown, whether the type of pesticide or organicide that was used. Sugar can be organic. So it's really important that people understand what words mean on the front of the label as well as what they're reading on the back.
Okay, now let me know which one you want me. Is this good first?
So
This
we can
first
start with
one?
this one. Yes,
Okay.
this is a very popular snack. I won't say the name, but it's a type of cookie that is that's eaten. And so I just want to kind of talk about, we'll go top to bottom and break down, decipher this nutrition label. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat. I'd love to answer
Yes.
whatever we can while we're on live. So, starting with the second line right under nutrition facts, it says about 24 servings per container. And if you look at that number, that says 3 cookies. Now, serving size is what the manufacturer means or intends for you to eat versus what you may actually eat. And so when you are trying to convert, and you have to do a little bit of math, because say, for example, if you're eating 6 cookies, you've actually had 2 servings of this particular food. And so those calories that you see there, the 160, you have to double that because you ate twice the amount of the recommended serving. And just like the calories, you would double everything else, the fat, the cholesterol, the sodium, the carb, all of that. So people don't always realize, when they look at a serving size, they may think, oh, a serving is 10 cookies. Well, actually, it's not, right? If you eat 10 cookies, you've eaten just over 3 servings. And so that math adds up. And so this particular item has 8 grams of fat. And so the column on the right, the percentage daily value, means how much how much of the recommended daily amount you're getting. So if you're basing this on about a 2,000 calorie diet, if you eat 3 cookies, you're getting 10% of the recommended amount of fat per day that's recommended for the average adult. And then they break down what kind of fat. So there's total fat, which is 8 grams, saturated fat, which does have a somewhat beneficial role in the body. You don't want to eat too much of it, but it does have a role. It does play a role. And then trans fat is the one you absolutely do not want to eat ever. That is 0 grams. So that's the fat content. Then this item, fortunately, doesn't have any cholesterol, so we'll skip over that. And it's also fairly low in sodium. So 3 cookies has only 105 milligrams of salt, which you see is about 5% of the recommended amount. And I will just say here, the recommended amount is about 2,000 milligrams, maybe even a little bit less as we learn more about the role that salt plays in high blood pressure and heart disease. But the average American probably eats about 3,400 milligrams of sodium. Just let that soak in. So if the recommended is 2,000 and you're getting 3,400, that's a lot of salt in the diet. And so then now, of course, because this is a cookie, carbs is where it's really going to be the heavy hitter. So this particular item has 22 grams of carbs, and that breaks down to dietary fiber, which you see is less than 1 gram. So that tells you right there, this is not a health food, right? When you're looking at carbs, all carbs are not bad. Fiber is a carb. So if you want to, when you're looking for foods, you want it, if a food has high fiber, if you, under the carb section, if the majority of the carbs is fiber, that's a good carb to have. So because that's complex and that's something that your body breaks down, helps control your sugar, helps your blood sugar, helps to make you feel full. So all fiber, all carbs are not bad for you. But here I want to call to your attention the total sugars. That's 11 grams of added sugar. So what that means is the manufacturer of this per serving has added 11 grams of sugar. And we know that a gram of sugar has about 4 calories. So right there, you're getting 44 calories from just the fat. in these, excuse me, just the carbohydrates in these cookies. So learning how to, well, where to look for the information, how to decipher it, that's what's important. We're not trying to turn you into dietitians or nutritionists, but it is important to have a basic working idea of what you're eating. But here's a trick, right? Were you going to say something?
I was going to say something. Can you at least give us a clue? How big are these cookies? Because I want to let you know how it's not worth it for you. Because, you look at the cookie, you're like 160 calories, right? It's that little. You're not going to eat the 3 cookies. So let's say you eat the whole pack. You eat the whole pack, 8 servings, 8 times 160. Let me see, 8. That's
Well,
1,280 calories.
well, if you eat a whole pack, that's actually 24 servings.
Yeah, so it's that's 24 servings. Oh my
Right,
goodness, 3
right.
cookies. So 24 times 3, 72 times 160. Is that what we're saying?
So no, so you would do 24 times the 160 because each serving has 160
It's
calories.
60 calories.
And so
So
it's
24
24
times, oh,
servings. So 24 times 160. If you were to eat that whole package, hopefully
now
not at one
was it
time.
a whole package? So you said the cookie is this big and it's
So
24.
this is a certain chocolate chip cookie that comes in a blue package in the white
I know what it is.
sleeves. And so if you eat one of those sleeves, you've eaten half. So if you eat one whole sleeve, that's going to be 12 servings. And so 12 times the 160 is how many calories you would get for eating that because you've eaten because one serving is 3 cookies, which is 160 calories. But if you eat half of the package, you're getting 12 servings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's 1,000. So it's times the 8. So 1,920 calories. And that's a snack.
That's the snack, right? And
Yeah.
so, and the majority of that we see are going to be those added sugars because a lot of the calories don't really come as much from the fat. It's a cookie, there's butter in there, but the majority of this is going to be from those simple sugars, right? Because if we talk about what are good carbs or what are the bad carbs, the simple sugars, the one that you eat, the processed ones, cakes, cookies, pies, that kind of stuff, and your sugar spikes. And then about an hour later, it comes down, and you're hungry again. You might be irritable. You might be a little difficult to focus. You have these physical effects of these kind of sugar surges from eating these simple, highly processed sugars. So that's what you're getting when you are eating this type of food. And then the protein you see there is negligible. This is not anything that's going to be good for your protein intake. And then of course, I'm not able to see the minerals and vitamins, but I'm pretty sure they're all 0%. Is there any vitamin and mineral in this particular food? I see 0, but I can't see the whole label. Can you? Is there? Am I frozen? Hello.
Can you hear me? I don't know why
I
I'm
can
breaking
hear
up.
you now. I think I was. I think
Um, I don't know. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Oh, let
Yes.
me
So
see.
what I
Looks
was
like we're
saying is
having
I can't.
some.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Doc?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
There.
now. I think we're good.
Okay. There are storms in my area, and that might be messing with my internet. But what I was just saying is I can't see.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can't see the vitamin and minerals underneath that black line, but I'm pretty sure they're all 0. This is not going to be a source of your vitamin D or
Okay, let me
calcium.
remove that. Yeah, let's hide it.
Yes,
There we go.
thank you. So it's got a little bit of iron, but not very much. And then right down there in the tiny letters, it just tells you that the column on the right, like we said, gives you the percentage of the daily value recommended based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, of course, disclaimer, we are talking about the average healthy person. If you have certain chronic conditions that require you to eat more calories or fewer calories per day, this is not meant for you. You would be wanting to get specific information from your doctor and or nutritionist or dietitian. But for the average adult who doesn't have any chronic conditions such as heart problems or liver or kidney or HIV or cancer or anything like that, this is based on the average 2,000 calorie diet.
Okay. Awesome. Do you want me to share the second one, the ingredients, so we could talk about what people should be looking out?
Yes.
So let me see.
So the other information that's important is going to be the ingredients. And so one thing I like to tell, I push a plant-based diet. So one thing I like to boast on, or my selling point for eating whole food plant-based, is there's no label you have to read with whole food plants, right? The label is an orange rind or a watermelon rind, or there's no label, no ingredients that you have to worry about. So they're putting a plug in there for eating a whole food, minimally processed diet is where you don't have to worry as much about reading labels, because you know everything that's in there is good for you.
All right, awesome. Now, while we're waiting for me to share the stuff, someone asked a good question on Instagram. Says, what are some good protein sources? Because you mentioned, eating protein, but
Yes,
any feedback?
excellent question. Protein, and I don't know if you mean just plant-based protein sources or if you also mean animal-based as well. But protein, nuts, walnuts, almonds. Walnuts are probably one of the highest protein containing tree nuts. Of course, if you're allergic, you would not want to do that. But your grains, your whole grains are a great source. Legumes, beans, right? Lentils, those things are packed with protein. Your soy products, tofu and edamame and tempeh, all of those are really really good sources. You've got some vegetables, some fruits are fairly high in protein, like mango and I think maybe kiwi, but you definitely are going to get a lot of protein in your nuts, your nut butters, um, tofu, quinoa. Quinoa is an excellent source of protein per serving. So there are a lot of different ways if you're doing a plant-based diet. So I wanted to, this is the ingredient panel for those cookies. And if there are more than 5 ingredients, here just a simple rule of thumb. A few simple rules. You're going to use more than one thumb. So if it's more than say 5 ingredients, you know it's a highly processed food. If there are foods or items on here that sound like they belong in a chemistry lab, you know it's highly processed, right? And so, and also it's in descending order. So the things that are listed at the top are in the highest amount or proportion, and it goes down
Oh,
from there. So the highest ingredient in this ingredient list is going to be the unbleached enriched flour. And in parentheses, they put in what that is. So it's wheat flour, niacin, which is a vitamin, reduced iron, which is a mineral, thiamine mononitrate, which is vitamin B1, riboflavin, which is vitamin B2, and folic acid. So you read that, you're like, oh, it's got all these
yeah,
vitamins.
vitamins, doc. What's the problem?
Right, it's practically health food. But I want to call to your attention the word enriched, because you'll see enriched and fortified. Enriched means that they have added back nutrients that was taken out of the food during processing. So the nutrient was already there originally. So you'll see this typically with like rice, grains, because when they strip away those outer layers of the grain, when we talk about whole grain, we're talking about the grain that has an outer part, it's got a middle part, and it's got a core and the inner part. Well, when they process those grains, they strip away the outer and the inner, and you're left with just the highly starchy part. So then they'll add back in the say maybe some vitamins or some minerals that were already there, but they stripped them away when they process it. Compare that to foods that are fortified. That's when they add in minerals or nutrients that were not there to begin with. So a prime example is milk. When you see vitamin D for fortified milk, they've added the vitamin D because that is not normally in the milk. So when you see unbleached, enriched, you already know you're dealing with a highly processed food. So yeah, it's got these vitamins in there because they added them back in to what was there, for
Mm.
what was lost from the processing. And then you see the semi-sweet chocolate chips, which are sugar, chocolate, cocoa butter, dextrose, another word for sugar. So in those chocolate chips, you're getting sugar, you're getting chocolate, you're getting cocoa, you're getting dextrose. All of those are sugar, plus the sugar that's in the milk. And then soy lecithin that's actually a vegan product because it's made from soy. There's animal lecithin, but then this is soy. It's kind of like a binder, kind of helps uh, with shape of food, I guess is a way
Mm.
to put it. And then more sugar, and then two oils, and then high fructose corn sugar, corn syrup, which we know is just not good for you. Some leavening, which is basically your baking soda, some salt and natural flavor, and caramel color. So, and then they also have to put on there the allergens. So you'll see the wheat, milk, and soy. Those are some of the more common allergens. And then this is, I think, relatively new. Contains a bioengineered food ingredient.
Yeah.
So that's probably like a GMO kind of thing, a genetically modified organism. Is in, probably in the unbleached enriched flour. So that's a mouthful, but basically you can see how the more ingredients that are on something, the higher the chance that that is a highly processed food.
Okay. Now, before we go ahead, because one of the questions I always have with, in talking with clients is whole wheat bread, whole grain bread. And I would say, this says honey wheat, doc. It's supposed to be wheat bread. And we're like, no, because it has the enriched, the bleached flour. Are there any tips for bread lovers here when it comes
Yes.
to picking bread before I say the third one?
Yeah. So whole wheat is wheat that has been processed. So, and that's another kind of tricky, deceptive marketing technique because you'll see things that say made with whole wheat. Well, what that means is it started off with whole wheat, but then it was so highly processed that by the time you get what's in your food package, the benefits, the health benefits are gone, and it's been replaced with some of those things that we saw on the food label. So if you want bread, and you're not making it yourself, you want to look for ones that are actually made with whole grain. And it should say that. The first thing in the label should say the whole wheat. If it says processed or whole wheat, oh gosh, I'm blanking on the word, but it should
Enriched,
have, say it again.
enriched,
Or it's
enriched.
enriched, right? That's gonna let you know that it's been processed. So, and grains, you want to look for bread that's got grains in it because the whole grains, you can see them, right? When you see those whole grains, you know that they haven't been processed, and that's going to be better for you. Those are better for your glycemic index, which is your sugar level after you eat, not going up too high. Again, it's better for your digestion because it's a
Mhm.
great source of fiber. All of those types of things. So, the least processed, the better.
Awesome. And I like that we're having this conversation and we're having it to encourage you all to eat foods that are more natural. Your body knows what to do with it, it knows how to utilize it. You feel better when you do that. And we had talked about high corn fructose syrup. That is like cocaine. I'm not exaggerating. It essentially tells your brain, oh my gosh, this is good. It's a reward triggering chemical and it's put in a lot of things to get you craving those things so you don't even know when you're full. All right. So please let's be on the watch out for these things. At least know what we're eating. So I'm going to share the last one that you sent. Let me see. Share screen. I guess you would get to this pretty quickly. This one. All right.
And I will say too, just a word about low fat, low sugar, because those are other buzzwords that are used. All that means is that it's lower in fat or sugar or salt compared to the regular version. So if the regular version was already high in salt or fat, they may have taken off 30%, but it still may be higher than what you need to be eating. And if they're taking out something like sugar or fat, they probably are replacing it with the other thing. Like if it's low fat, they may be adding sugar, or if it's low sugar, they're adding fat. So there's often a trade off that is not as beneficial as you would think because it says low fat or zero trans fat. Because actually, even things that are zero trans fat can have a small amount of trans fat per the FDA, but still get the label of zero trans fat. So it just requires you to be a savvy shopper.
That's right.
So this label is from something near and dear to my heart.
Mhm.
So this is from my vegan Worcestershire sauce. I am so proud of this, and thank you so much for letting me talk about it. So the reason, and I think we talked about this before, but do you know the reason, or if they can put in the chat, why is Worcestershire sauce not vegan? Like regular Worcestershire sauce. Why? What makes it not vegan? And the answer is up there on the screen, so eagle-eyed folks can cheat. It's okay. But does anyone want to put in the chat why Worcestershire sauce, or W sauce for short, why it's not vegan. Any takers?
Come on, people. Let's let her know we're listening. Come on. Put in the comment.
So we'll give them a few more seconds to think on that. But I'll talk about this label. So here you see the same thing we saw on the other one, right? The serving size is 1 teaspoon, and so this package or this bottle gives you 60 servings. Most people use about a tablespoon, so you would multiply that by 3 because that's usually what people use, is at least a tablespoon. But as you can see, there's 0 fat in here, 0 cholesterol, tiny amounts of sodium. The sodium comes from miso. I use miso in place of the reason why it's not vegan, why regular
I know the answer.
okay, go ahead, tell them.
Fish. Go fish.
Fish. So Worcestershire sauce gets that umami, salty, flavorful burst from anchovies. And so in my product, instead of using anchovies, I use miso paste, which is a soy product. And but it gives you that saltiness and that umami, and it's just wonderful. So even using that though, my sodium content is about 33% lower than the leading brand. Even their reduced sodium, which is 45 milligrams, mine is 30. So I'm super proud about that. That just shows you don't have to give up flavor you don't have to give up some of your favorite ingredients to still have flavorful, healthy food. And then a little bit of carbs in there that comes from the molasses that I have in there. But as you can see, 1 gram added sugar, so a tiny amount. Say that again.
Oh no, I didn't ask a question, but I do have a question to ask you.
Yes.
All right. So I love how you're using the dressing, right? This is a dressing, correct?
So it's a condiment. You can use it as a dressing. You can
Okay.
use it to saute, to marinate. Yes, you can use it to spice up other condiments like mayonnaise or barbecue sauce. You can add it to chili, soup. Yes.
Awesome. And this is very important because sometimes, when we eat salad and they have a salad dressing, the condiments to go with some type of pasta, we think because it's little amounts relative to the meal that it's not adding much. But this is 10 times less. So we're talking 10 to 100 and sometimes even multiple more number of calories when it comes to fat and added sugars just from the condiments alone. Condiments are not as innocent as they appear. And I'm not here to push an agenda or sound, like I'm not trying to mess with your food, but we're seeing a rise in diabetes, we're seeing a rise in cancers because we're eating foods that are not real. I had a patient who, just by changing her 8-year-old daughter's foods to more plant-based, autism risk factors or traits reduced significantly.
Wow.
So I'm very passionate about this because I know it's not easy. And we're in the South, we butter everything, we lard everything, and it's sugared and breaded and things like that. But when we're talking about longevity, living long and well, we really need to pay attention to what we're eating. Now, my question was going to be separate from this. Someone asked, Doc, man, you're messing with my cookies. Is there any good cookie you suggest? Doc, help us out because some of
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, and again, I'm gonna just preface this by saying, please, 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 if you're diabetic or have other conditions, please be sure to talk to your doctor about what substitutions, because they may not want you to eat any cookies ever. But for the average person, I like cookies. I eat cookies, but everything in moderation, I believe. And it's the type of sugar that you use. The sugar itself is not vegan. A lot of people don't know this, but white sugar is not vegan because it's white because they process it with bone char from animals. And so organic sugar, raw sugar, cane sugar, those are more likely to be vegan. But look at other sugar sources such as molasses or um, dates or small amounts of agave. People think agave is good. Agave is not good in large amounts. So it's vegan, but it's not meant to be used in large doses because it can actually be harmful to the liver. So just exploring other and things that are not even sugar, like cinnamon or cardamom. I love cooking with cinnamon and cardamom, adding those even to like coffee or tea, because they hit those sweet notes on your tongue, but they're not sugar. And there's spices which are full of antioxidants and protective good plant chemicals. So you almost can't go wrong with those. So just exploring, I think, other types of sweeteners. And then also the monk fruit, that's another one that people use. And then your flours, if you're going to use flours, again, we've talked about the highly processed, but there are lots, and there's so many flours out on the market now: almond flour, cassava flour, and chickpea flour, ways that you can still bake with them, but you're not getting the highly processed or the high bad carbs that may be coming along with the highly processed. And then using if you're doing chocolate, using a dark chocolate, which is actually good for you, right? Dark
Mhm.
chocolate is anti-inflammatory. It helps boost brain function. It has a lot of good health benefits. And it happens to be vegan because there's no milk in there. So, and then of course, if you throw nuts in a cookie, you're getting the good fats from the nuts, the brain power from those, the good helping the GI tract as well. So lots of ways you can make a healthier cookie.
Awesome. I like it. So there's hope for all you cookie, not all you, all we cookie lovers. But we
Good.
know what we're eating, what we're putting in our body, and so we're careful. All right. Wow, it's past 7 o'clock. I didn't even get a chance to ask all my questions, but that's okay, Doc. This was good. And so as we wrap up, for someone who's watching, who's like, yeah, Doc, I hear you. Are there any words of encouragement when it comes to reading labels and being a little more particular about what we put in our body? Any tips for someone who's watching who's like, oh man, this is my thing. This is I don't like to pay attention to it because I just eat what I like. Any ways or words of encouragement for that person watching to
Yeah.
try to pay attention?
I think one thing I like to say is the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So when you're reading labels, you don't have to become an expert. You don't have to be a pro. You don't have to break out a calculator, but just having a general idea. And one quick example, if I can, is a can of soda. A lot of us will drink a can of soda in one sitting, but if you look at that, it actually is 2.5 servings, a larger can of soda, or the bottle, the plastic bottle, 20-ounce bottles of soda. Those are actually 2.5 servings. So yeah, it's a little bit of math. You got to multiply. But if you look for fewer ingredients, if you shop the perimeter, that's the other thing. If people realize, if you shop the perimeter of the store, because what's at the perimeter? Your produce aisle, right? Your frozen aisle. Yeah, the dairy is there too. But well, it depends on how your store is set up. Your frozen might be in the center, but stay away from a lot of the stuff in the middle of the store, because that's where you're going to tend to see more of the highly processed stuff. So if you just kind of shop the more of the perimeter, you're going to more likely find things that are healthier for you, fewer ingredients, less processed. And then you don't have to worry so much about, well, how many calories is this and how many milligrams of sodium is this, because you're getting something that's, 5 to 7 ingredients somewhere in there. And if you can't pronounce the ingredient, if you can't read the ingredient, you probably don't need to be eating it.
Hmm.
If it sounds like it belongs in the chemistry lab, leave it there.
Awesome. Awesome. Because you're worth it. You're worth it. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Doc. This was very, very helpful. Please, for our viewers who are watching, who want to follow you to get more useful information and stay encouraged on the path to eating cleaner, Doc, where can people find you?
I'm on all social media at Physician in the Kitchen. My
Yeah.
sauce is available at veganwsauce.com. But yeah, my YouTube channel, I post weekly or every other weekly cooking videos over there at Physician in the Kitchen. So if you put Physician in the Kitchen out in the atmosphere in the universe, you will find me.
Yeah, she's on all. I mean, I can't put. She's on the web. She's on Instagram, Physician in the Kitchen. She's on Facebook, on Pinterest, on TikTok, on YouTube. The name Physician in the Kitchen. Please follow her. Get her content. You get useful recipes that you can incorporate. I'm not saying she the bomb. She's vegan. Good. I like meat. Okay, I eat meat sometimes, but not too much. But that's what I'm looking forward to getting to. So you can incorporate some of the things she's teaching into your meal, and slowly you're making changes for sure.
And for those of you who are eating meat, it's the type of meat. Eat the best quality meat you can, the lean meat, the not antibiotic fueled meat. So if you're
Mm.
eating meat, that's fine, but just try to get the best that you can. Antibiotic free, hormone free, fresh caught fish versus farmed, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Thank you for that useful tip. I love it. But I appreciate you for coming. I will ask you again in a couple months to come on back. Thank you, thank you. You rock.
This this is my happy place. So anytime I'm happy to come.
All right, awesome, awesome. Thank you, all our viewers, for watching. Those of you watching live, those watching replay, thank you for the hearts, the likes. As always, subscribe. It lets people, or it lets YouTube know, or the different platforms know that what we're producing is useful for you, and share it with your family members. Encourage them in their wellness journey. And as always, if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough, and compassionate family physician who will have conversations like this to help you live well, I am she. Have a good one. Thanks again, Doc. You
Good
rock.
night. Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.